Restoring Men in History, New York Post. Hey, listen, teens, depression, suicide, isolation, anxiety. New poll. Ricky Schlott wrote this June 19th, 2023. So it's pretty recent. Number of teens who don't enjoy life, and this is a pretty big one, has doubled with what? Social media. Now, this is her premise. We're going to add some other problems here to it because I believe it's more than just social media going on. You can't just blame social media. Depressive symptoms in the U.S., 8th, 10th, 12th graders. I can't do anything right. Question. This was a question asked from Michigan. We'll go through that and we'll tell you how the study was done. 49.5%. My life is not useful. 44.2%. I do not enjoy life. Remember, this is 8th, 10th, 12th graders. They should be enjoying life, right? 48.9% of those polls. Now, what was the study? Source was Monitoring the Future, analyzed by Jean Twenge. So let's look at this. It's the new Great Depression, this author says, since the rise of social media, depression and feelings of hopelessness, let's remember that word, hopeless, have skyrocketed. What gives you hope, by the way? Have skyrocketed among teens. Nearly half of the teens say they agree with phrases like, I can't do anything right. I don't enjoy my life. My life is not useful. Roughly twice as many as just 1 decade ago. Okay? If you like this video, like and subscribe. We would appreciate it. Thank you. These are staggering numbers in increases. Psychological and generational expert Dr. Jean Twenge told the Post. Parents are concerned. Okay, we know they're concerned. Poll was done by how? And University of Michigan, featured in Twenge's book, Generations, the Real Differences Between Gen Z, Millennials, Gen X, Boomers, Silence, and What They Mean for America's Future. Remember, kids are our future. Who's coming after them? Is just the latest starting revelation about mental health. Teen anxiety and depression have grown. This is a serious issue for the United States. Mental issues, right? Number one cause, according to Twenge, is social media. Okay, we've talked about social media, iPhones, computers, being on social media, screen time. In fact, rates of teen depressive symptoms have increased massively since the mass popularization of the smartphone in the early 2010s. So, we're going to go back through those questions and why we're talking about them. There's no question that the primary cause, she's saying, of the increase in teen depression now, it's by far the largest change in teens' everyday life over the past 10 to 12 years. Is it going to get worse, by the way? Nothing even else comes close. What would balance it, by the way? That's a question I'm going to put out there as we read this. What would balance it? What do you think else has happened? The University of Michigan poll has been conducted annually since 91. So here's a good thing. We can go out and get polls right. We can ask the right questions, but this one was the same questions asked since 91. 8th, 10th, 12th, if they agree with statements, I can't do anything right, I do not enjoy my life is not useful. The number stayed steady till around 2012. Remember, I think the iPhone was around 2008. Until then, fewer than 20% of the students agree with life. I do not enjoy my life. Now, half do. That's a big increase in 10 to 12 years, right? That's a problem for us. That coincides with the rise of platforms like Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok 2 years later. All right, now let's look at Snapchat, Instagram, and all these. Right now, we'll stop here. Teens today can spend up to 9 hours a day glued to screens, and half of them say they are online almost constantly. Now, we know that's not good, right? We've talked about that before. It's not good for boys' testosterone levels. It's not good for girls. It's not good for friendships. It's not good for community. It's not good for improving yourself. Glued to a screen almost constantly the whole day. Screen time is also replacing critical rites of passage. Shares since smartphones came on the scene, share of teens dating, getting a driver's license. I've heard this from parents. Their kids don't care about driving. Working for pay has also plummeted. So getting out and driving, getting on your own, it develops what? Decision-making skills. You have to make decisions away from your parents. It's a fundamental change in how teens spend their leisure time, Twenge said. If you put all this together, more screen time, less time with friends face-to-face. Well, we talk about this all the time. You need to be in a men's group. You got to be out. You've got to build friendships. Because depression and suicide are on the rise in the social media age. Surgeon General Vivek Murtha. Now, we talked about this rise in men, too. suicide, depression, isolation, anxiety going up in men. We did a video on that. In fact, it's one of the reasons we believe in the men's groups too, aside from the intellectual stimulation and camaraderie. While both boys and girls are struggling, it's a trend that seems to be hitting girls harder. Well, that makes perfect sense. They were in the tribes. They had to be liked. They had to get along with the other women. Twinge says this could be because platforms like Instagram exacerbate girls' tendency to compare themselves and vie for social status. All right, what? Because this is materialism, right? The body only, not the soul, not the mind. So what could balance that? God, right? Or belief, a worldview that is opposite to that. So if you're always on Instagram worried about what someone likes and doesn't like about you, if you have the virtues or God, that's going to balance that, right? So if you have the virtue of courage, it's not going to bother you if you're getting hit as much. It's if you have the virtue of loyalty and you have a certain set of friends that you see in person, it's not going to bother you as much what these people are saying, right? Because your real friends are going to be able to encourage you, edify you, build you up. If you have God, you're going to know you're living down here for what? Purpose larger than yourself. But let's go back to that in a minute. Let's get through the article. Twinge said it flamed existing issues within Gen Z born from 97 to 2012. Meanwhile, Gen Z and she debunks that the idea that the adolescent mental health crisis is due only to the pandemic is false, but you certainly can't rule out some acceleration on the trend. Meanwhile, Gen Z is coming of an age in an era of political polarization. Well, wait a minute here. Cancel culture and global social unrest. So the schools are really going after kids, right? We're coming for you. The Department of Education, that's up. California, that's up. So schools, Department of Education, all these places are pushing this trans movement, this political movement. That's politics, and it's wrong. What do we always say? Boys need to become men, and they will. Girls need to become women. That's all they can be. Girls cannot become a man. Boys cannot become a woman. That's impossible. So that's confusion, and more than that, it's downright wicked to confuse children like that. Sagging them for hope with the future and faith in the country. So social unrest, cancel culture, political polarization. Let's stick with this for a second. Marxist indoctrination centers, the unconstitutional Department of Education, pushing kids critical race theory, white privilege. Oh, well, let's pick that up there. Broken down by the economic climate, the Gen Zs are second race. Okay, we don't need that. But although their generation might not have it worse than, say, boomers getting drafted into Vietnam, they feel like they do. Okay, what are your feelings? Well, depression isn't about emotions, it's about cognition, it's about thinking, it's about how you see the worldview, right? What's your worldview? Is it going to be this worldview or that worldview? And how will that guide you in life? Is it going to be virtues or vices? And how will that guide you? A generation that is more depressed is likely to be more pessimistic. Hey, a Marxist generation is more likely to be pessimistic, right? See all those people protesting, they're angry, aren't they? Right? At the schools and all the other Marxists. They're going to view ambiguous things as negative. Over here, we want to see the Constitution restored. We have a worldview, but we believe we can do it. We have hope that we can do it. Are we still upset about some things? Absolutely. Nearly a third of teen girls have seriously considered suicide. Amazing. Terrible. Youth self-harm hospitalizations have soared by 163% in the last 10 years. Now that's big. Suicide is now the second leading cause of death in young Americans. This is bad. What's causing all this? We're going to get to this. Okay, let's go back to the questions and let me go through some other reasons. I can't do anything right. Where would that come from? Well, they're teaching boys not to be toxic masculinity. They're teaching boys they can be girls. Crazy. They're teaching women they can be girls. That's crazy. I can't do anything right. Well, if you're a boy and you're told you're too active, we need to put you on medication. White privilege. And it's not good for the either race, right? Because they're teaching oppression and victimization. So it's not good for the victim who say you can't do anything because you're this color. That's not good. I can't do anything right. Where could those questions be coming from? The Marxist indoctrination centers? Other sources? We're just throwing out things here. I can't do anything right. Who builds up and encourages people? That's tearing you down to say, well, you're white, you're bad. You're a man, you're toxic. Your masculinity is bad. No, it's what's going to save us, right? Okay, masculinity isn't bad. There's that meme that goes around, you don't want weak men, right? My life is not useful. What would make you feel like your life is not useful? If you have a belief and a worldview that says there's something more to life than yourself. Narcissism says everything's about you. Instagram, it could be about you, or it could be about for good, right? Inventions are only how we use them. Something can be used for good or ill, right? Movies. My life is not useful. What would make it useful? Well, if you believe in God, it's already automatically useful. If you believe in your family, what about your country? MacArthur said that line, duty, honor, country. But if you went down there, what did it say? A bunch of them are seeing the founding fathers as villains. So now let's tie that. Now you don't like your country. My life is not useful. So what could you serve? What could you do? What could your duty, honor, country go to? Serving God, something higher than yourself. Serving your country if you don't believe in God. Serving your wife, serving your kids. Okay. So there's these things, purpose larger than yourself. My life is not useful. Get on purpose. We always tell the men you need a purpose. Okay. And women need a purpose, right? But we were focused on the men when we said that. I do not enjoy my life. What would cause you to enjoy life? All this political nonsense, telling you can be a girl when you can't, victimizing you, adulating the people that convert and transition, many other things. Too much time on your phone, not enough friends, too much isolation. Not believing in this country, though, and not having anything to believe in. But by the way, you're probably going to pick something to believe in. You can believe in the religion of Marxism, the religion of leftism, or Christianity, or the Muslim faith. The Muslims stood up. I was going to read an article on the church and what's happened. What else has gone down, though? With the rise of this smartphone, let's look at one more thing. And we'll look at these questions. I can't do anything right. My life is not useful. I do not enjoy life. 3 things. Your friends, if you have friends, will tell you, hey, you can do something and push you. I can't do anything right. Again, all this Marxist indoctrination is telling kids white privilege and confusing them, birthing people. I mean, that, all these words and language and this politicization of everything, sports, transgenders playing in women's sports. Come on. No, men need to be in men's leagues. Women need to be in women's leagues, right? All right. My life is not useful. I do not enjoy life. I think I covered that. I hope. Kids should be enjoying life, right? At that age, you should be enjoying life. So this is not good for society. So again, this is our mantra. One solution is watch the phone time. As parents, you can solve this problem. You're in control. You're their parent, not their friend. So you can pull them off the phones and discipline them. You can also pull them out of the Marxist school. So you can do 2 things if you can afford it and you can take the time. If not, you got to teach the virtues at home. You got to teach the lessons at home to counter that. And that's going to be difficult, but you'll have to do it. So you have to teach virtue, courage, honor, loyalty, all those things, hard work, the ethics of Aristotle, or if you believe in God, the ethics of God. If you don't, ethics of Aristotle. But you've got to get them a world system to believe in. Something, a worldview that they can guide and make decisions with. You can make decisions with virtues. You can make decisions based on what you want God to see you to do. You can make decisions based on the virtues and God. You'll make decisions on the Muslim faith and Muhammad, right? So let's go on to the next article. Here's what else has changed in America. So I didn't want to put it all on social media. Change in America. Church going and belief in God stand at historic lows despite a mega church surge. By the way, it depends on which church you go to. Is it giving you the word? Is it giving you depth and insight? Or is it teaching you not much? Is it just kind of superficial? Is it not really believing anything? In other words, is it just the world? But let's go on. That's a different discussion. The share of Americans who belong to church dipped below in half in 2020. This is June 21st, 2022. Daniel Devise, yeah. Church-going membership, church attendance, and belief in God declined during the pandemic year, survey data suggests, but it's been plummeting. At least 1/5 of Americans embrace no religion at all. Church membership, church attendance, belief in God all declined. So you could have church at your home. You could teach it at your home. You could have a bunch of guys smoking cigars teaching it, right? If you know what you're doing. The lone striking counter trend is a steep rise in non-denominational Protestants who attend churches outside the mainline denominations, the once ubiquitous Baptists, Methodists, and Lutherans. All right, I think we've talked about this. In-person church attendance plummeted 45% in the pandemic. People are not getting together as much too. Remember, it's church community. Here's the interesting fact. Church membership held steady at around 70% of the U.S. population from the 40s through the 90s. Membership plummeted in the new millennium. Now, also, you're not going to go to a church probably that you can already get on ESPN, on the channels and on TV and in the movies, right? So if the church becomes woke, you're probably not going to be attracted to that. If the church isn't strong and doesn't have belief in anything, you're probably not going to be attracted to that. So there's other issues with the church. The feminized church, right? Feminized church is different. Or the weak church, call it what you want, weak church. The decline is largely driven by a surging population of nuns or Americans who claim no religion at all. So I just wanted to throw this out. At 1954, at the height of the Cold War, President Eisenhower signed a bill that added the words "under God" to the Pledge of Allegiance. The next year, he signed a bill that inscribed "In God We Trust." To be a communist was an atheist, and to be American was to be a Christian. What's my point here? Do you believe in American principles, or are you anti-American principles? A lot of these indoctrination centers, these Marxist schools, the Marxism in the schools, teach anti-American principles. Hate the founding fathers, hate your country. Your country's all bad, all wrong. That doesn't give you a good foundation, right? You want to be able to believe in your country even if you disagree with it, even if you disagree with conscience, even if you think it's gone way off the Constitution, you still have the principles of America. Now, we know we've gone way off the Constitution, completely, all these unconstitutional agencies and acts. But still, we love America, and we love the founding principles, and we love the founding fathers over here. And the Cold War pushed religion into politics. The Republican Revolution in '94 pushed religion into partisan politics. I don't know. Agnostics are today, agnostics are 3 times as likely to identify as Democrat than Republican. So you'd have to trace back what homes these kids come out of. But anyway, Christian nationalism. Okay, I think we get the point. In different studies, we don't need to go in this one too much. Belief in God's gone down, but then you would have to ask, has strong belief gone down? And maybe strong belief has risen. So there's a balance to that we would have to ask. Overall, less Americans believe in God, but have the ones that do believe has their faith increased. And here's the thing: it talked about hopelessness in the article. What are the theological virtues? Love, faith, and hope. Right? Love, faith, and hope. So, got the theological virtues, the cardinal virtues, the manly virtues, all these virtues here. What does that give you? It doesn't matter what anybody says on Instagram if you know you have these virtues and they're working well for you, or if you have a belief in God. But you have to have a belief in something. You have to have a purpose larger than yourself. We talk about this all the time, and I brought this poll up. Purpose, virtues. We're going to talk about this again and again and again. You can monitor screen time, but your heart, mind, soul, and all this has to be over here set strong. You have a foundation where you can make good decisions. And when you know your worth is based on this, not what somebody likes or doesn't like on social media, on Instagram. Your worth is what you make of yourself, and it's over here. Instagram and all this stuff's over here. That's not your worth. Those people are ephemeral. They'll go away. Okay? So remember, if you're out there watching and you're concerned about social media and how many likes you get, your worth comes from your virtues. Build those up and you'll be fine. And there's a balance to this materialism over here. We'll call it materialism, and spiritualism over here. And they're also making it difficult with pushing the politics and the Marxism down your throat. And then there's the transgenderism, pushing that confusion. So they're pushing Marxism, pushing confusion, pushing transgenderism. and that's bad. But you can balance it by believing in American principles and having virtues, believing in this country and loving this country, loving the freedom of this country. Hey, listen, you can believe in freedom. You want to believe in something, believe in freedom. Join the freedom side. We could do a whole video on that. I think we will. American principles. Join that side. Believe in that. Have that worldview. So anyway, there's these competing worldviews. And I think this is the happier. The pursuit of happiness is over here. You want to be happy? Come to this side. Get over here on the freedom side, American principles. And I think you can pursue happiness, virtues. Look up once in a while, maybe, if you believe in God. If you don't believe in God, how about believing in your country and American principles and freedom and standing for that? And you can give you a cause, something larger than yourself. Think about something besides yourself. Get out of narcissism. You'll get you out of your phones and Instagram. Think about, how do I build up American principles so my children have opportunities, so my grandchildren have opportunities, because life's not about me. Or how can I serve God if you believe in God? If you don't believe in God, how about believing in your country and American principles and free markets and free enterprise and all these wonderful ideas that those founding fathers, by the way, gave you the opportunity to have, because they created this great nation and created the Constitution and wrote the Declaration of Independence and gave you freedom and opportunity to do what you wanted, to worship in the way you want, to have free speech, to own a gun, to say what you need to say, even if you're in disagreement with your government, to meet and assemble with other people, so use it. Get out with your friends, smoke cigars with your friends, if you're a man. Do what you want in terms of getting out with your friends. Community, friendship, you can increase in that, and I think it will bring you more happiness. So how do you get out of this isolation? Get off your phones, right? Get out with your friends. Get into community. Get into a country. Serve. Serve your country. Thank you. If you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe, and share with your friends. It helps the algorithms, and we would appreciate it. Thank you, and have a magnificent day.